Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with a Spain news update and the outrageous situation at passport control at Spain's main airport Barajas has come to light, with some 15,000 people reportedly having missed their flights since March, but more about that in just a moment. Firstly, a big thanks to all of the people that left comments on the last video. Lots of comments, lots of debate happening there as usual. Thanks to people that supported the channel through a donation, thanks to people that bought merchandise, and a big thanks to my patrons on Patreon for helping me make these videos. Now, let's get into the news, and as I said, the chaotic situation at passport control at Spain's biggest airport Barajas has come to light. And as we can see here, airline Iberia reports that 15,000 passengers have missed their flights at Barajas due to chaos at passport control. Iberia has complained this Monday about the chaos that has again occurred in the passport control area of the T4 terminal at Adolfo Suarez Madrid Barajas Airport, forcing it to delay the departure of some of its flights. This is not the first time this situation has occurred, as the airline estimates that around 15,000 customers have missed their connection since the 1st of March due to the crowds in the police control area. This is a problem that affects not only Madrid, but also tourist airports such as Alicante, Malaga, Tenerife Sur, and Palma, among others, according to the airline association ALA. So what the hell is going on at Spanish airports at the moment, with some 15,000 people missing their flights at Barajas Airport alone? So what has the government said they're going to do to fix this problem? Well, as we can read here, the Interior Ministry is going to reinforce passport control with 500 police officers as complaints of chaos increase. Complaints about the airport chaos caused by delays in passport controls and missed flights at Spanish airports have been widespread on Tuesday from travellers, airlines and consumer organisations. Despite this, the Interior Ministry has assured that neither its department nor AENA have received complaints from passengers or airlines about the alleged flight losses reported by Iberia, although it will reinforce the 12 main Spanish airports this summer with some 500 permanent agents, 189 of them in Barajas and almost 100 in Barcelona. So there we go, airport chaos according to the airline Iberia, but the Interior Ministry here in Spain says that they have not received one single complaint. So somebody's not telling the truth, and you don't have to be a genius to work out who that is. Now, former Spanish King Juan Carlos is unfortunately back in the press because the tax agency is again investigating his dealings. And as we can see here, the tax authorities are now investigating the emeritus king for the hunting trips he was invited to after his abdication in 2014. The tax agency now requires the king emeritus to justify who paid the expenses derived from the hunting trips he attended after his abdication as head of state in June 2014. The Department of Financial and Tax Inspection of the Treasury has sent Don Juan Carlos several requests for information during the last year, some of them recently, to accredit the origin of the funds with which the flights and other expenses derived from the hunting days to which he was invited between the fiscal years 2014 and 2018 were paid. That is, when he was no longer head of state, and therefore was not protected by the inviolability that came with his position. So again, the tax agency here in Spain asking former King Juan Carlos to explain who paid for the hunting trips. Because in typical royal fashion, he obviously didn't pay for anything himself. Now, we all know that the Spanish government wants to abolish prostitution in this country, but just how big is the prostitution industry in Spain? Well, as we can see here, prostitution in Spain, 45,000 women and 5 million euros a day. Prostitution is an unregulated activity in Spain, and for this reason, there is hardly any data on how many women work as prostitutes, in how many brothels or flats, how many men go to them, and exactly how much money they make. These are all approximations or old reports which provide only an approximate picture of an activity in Spain that a large part of the feminist movement considers to be an act of violence against women. Despite this, the government and specialists consider that the Spanish sex industry is undoubtedly one of the most important in the world, an activity that the abolitionist reform promoted by the PSOE admitted today in Congress could put a stop to. So the Spanish sex industry, according to that article, one of the most important in the world. And as we also saw, the current government wants to put a stop to it. So the world's oldest profession could have its days numbered in Spain. Now, anybody who has dealt with Spanish bureaucracy knows that the language that they use in their letters is very, very difficult to understand. In fact, so difficult is it to understand that it may violate citizens' rights. As we can see here, Spanish bureaucracy does not speak clearly. Its dense and convoluted language violates a citizen's right. A single 5-line sentence made up of more than 100 words, 10 commas, a parenthesis, and 11 paragraphs to warn of something that could have been summed up in 3 much shorter and clearer sentences. This is what Jaime came across a few weeks ago when he entered the new electronic notification mailbox of the public administration, the set of bodies entrusted with the mission of connecting the political power with the people and which, nevertheless, addresses citizens in a language they do not understand. The text of this notice is written in a language that is alien to most of us. Worst, it accurately reflects what many of us perceive the administration to be: unnecessarily complex, bureaucratically inefficient, artificially distant. He wrote in a Twitter thread in which he included a new version of the same text, but more natural, more humane, and more effective. There are plenty of reasons to support this claim, and many of them are included in a study published by the consultancy firm Prostitution. After analysing 760 documents related to ministries, regional governments, city councils, state bodies, and universities, they concluded that 78% of administrative texts are unclear. So there you go, and good to see that I'm not the only person who thinks that letters that you get from the government here are difficult to understand. I thought the reason I couldn't understand a lot of these documents was my lack of Spanish, but clearly that is not the case because Spanish people can't understand them either. Now let's have a look at some of the comments from previous videos. One here from Leia: the problem if one wants to work on the coast is to find a place to stay. Unless you want to stay in a tent in a camping site, it's very difficult to find something to rent. Yeah, Leia, thanks for the comment, and you're absolutely right. Low salaries aren't the only reason that bars and restaurants have trouble finding workers in those coastal areas. Another problem is, as you said, it's difficult to find accommodation because a lot of the apartments that are rented in those areas are for tourist purposes only. This is a huge problem in places like Mallorca and Ibiza in the Balearic Islands, not only for waitstaff and people that work in hotels, but also for police, nurses and doctors that are sent to the islands to work. And a lot of people, unfortunately, have to live in their cars or, as you said in your comment, in tents. One here from Vietnam: what is the average salary in Australia? Yeah, Vietnam, thanks for the comment, but to be honest, I have absolutely no idea. So I've gone to Google and this is the information. As we can read here, what is the average salary in Australia in 2021? The average salary of an individual in Australia for 2021 is projected to be around 99,596 Australian dollars per year. Salaries can range from 33,000 Australian dollars to 260 Australian dollars in 2021. The average salary includes housing, transport, and additional benefits. The median salary or the middle salary value is 72,000 Australian dollars per year. And if we put that amount into euros, we can see that it's 66,403 euros and 90 cents. So there we go. That's the reason why the cost of living in Australia is so high, with average salaries in euros around the 66,000 mark. So a fair bit of difference between average salaries here in Spain and average salaries in Australia. One here from Finstadel: here in DK there is no problem in filming in public places except the obvious ones like airports and other mostly indoor places. You can film girls in bikinis or a guy jumping on top of a car because he's angry, but you can't share portraits without permission or people in sensitive situations in public outlets like open Facebook groups' profiles. Lots of rules and regulations. Yeah, Finstadel, thanks for the comment, and obviously referring to something that I mentioned in yesterday's live stream about some of the problems that you can run into if you film people in the street here in Spain. I said yesterday that there now seems to be lots and lots of people filming content here in Spain, especially walking along beaches and showing images of people in bikinis and their bathing suits, obviously without their permission. And given Spain's strict data protection laws, if you film people without their permission, you can get into trouble. So for example, if you're walking along and filming at a crowded Benidorm beach in August and there are thousands and thousands of people on the beach, and let's say that video gets 1 million views on YouTube and you make a couple of €1,000, it only takes one person to complain and you have to take the video down. Because the other option is that you ask everybody on that beach for permission to film them, and obviously that's not feasible. So my advice would be that if you are going to film your adventures here in Spain and then put those images onto platforms like YouTube or or Facebook, be careful not to film too many people, because there's nothing worse than having to take down a popular video. One here from Hike Ranger: I recently retired from a top global tech company after 20 years plus with them. I can undeniably tell you that Google in Malaga will be hiring the lion's share of their talent from the international market and not from Spain, except for the minimal amount agreed upon from their deal with Spain. You can expect the high-paid talent will be foreign. This was a tax revenue move by Spain and not a focus on their people. They will be priced out of all their living markets, homes and such, in a very short time. Yeah, Hike Ranger, thanks for the comment and obviously talking from experience. We saw the piece of news yesterday that Google is going to set up their cybersecurity operations in Malaga, and Malaga appears to be turning into a mini Silicon Valley. And I've read comments from other people that work in the tech scene in Malaga, and they've also said that there are not a lot of locals working in that sector. So will all this tech investment in Malaga be good for the city and good for the locals? Well, according to comments like the one that we just saw, no. One here from Paul: interesting article regarding food waste. Here in the Pueblo where I live near Cádiz, I see local small holding farmers collecting food scraps from the bars to feed their livestock. The meat and eggs are delicious. Yeah, Paul, thanks for the comment, and also referring to an article that we saw yesterday about how the Spanish government is preparing a law that will make it illegal for bars, restaurants and supermarkets to waste food. In fact, if those places get caught wasting food, they could be fined up to 60,000 euros. But according to your comment, Paul, in your local area near Cádiz, bars and restaurants there already have a solution to the problem. On that note, I'll wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the video out as you normally do. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.